And just to summarize the entire discussion on the lihya, must a person wash his beard when doing wudu or not? So we say that al-lihya, the beard, is either going to be the da'iratul wajh. It's either going to be within the parameters of the face, meaning from the hairline until the chin and from earlobe to your earlobe, or it will be al-mustarsil, hanging from, and da'iratul wajh, beyond the parameters of the face. If the beard is hanging beyond the parameters of the face, now this is a separate view. Over here, the correct opinion, which the school has adopted, is that yusannu at-takhleel. It is sunnah to do takhleel of this portion. That portion of the beard which is hanging beyond the parameters of the wajh, it's sunnah to pass your wet hand through it. As for that portion of the beard which is within the parameters of the face, is from the hairline until the chin, or from earlobe to earlobe, any hair on this, any hair within these parameters, over here they would say that this will either be such that either you can see skin through it, awla, or skin cannot be seen through it. If the skin can be seen through it and it's fi da'iratul wajh, in this scenario, because it falls under muwajah, it is faced, right? When you talk to someone, you can face this, you can see his skin. In this scenario, irrespective of whether it has volume or not, you have to ensure that the water reaches the skin. So as long as the skin is visible through a person's beard, you have to ensure, and it's within the parameters of the hairline till the chin and earlobe till earlobe, you have to ensure that water reaches that skin. It's not sufficient to wash the outer portion of the beard. If the skin cannot be seen through the beard, then in this scenario, irrespective of whether it is katha, right, it's thick, or it's khafifa, irrespective of whether the beard has volume or not, in both scenarios, yajibu ghaslu zahiriha. You only have to wash the outer portion of the beard which is visible, because that's the amount which is seen through, which is visible, which a person sees when talking to you. وَلَا يَجِبُ إِيصَالُ الْمَاءِ لِلْبَشَرِ. In this scenario, you don't actually have to ensure and push your hand through the beard to ensure that water reaches the skin, because the skin is no longer visible. And this entire mas'ala, this entire discussion, as I told you, it stems from al-muwajaha. Okay, how do we define al-muwajaha or al-wajhu? مَا يَقَعُ بِهِ الْمُوَاجَهَةُ عَادَةً. In the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. How do we define wajh? Al-wajh is that which is normally seen, that which is normally, when you're talking to someone, that which you normally face. And the amount which you normally face is from a person's chin until his hairline, and from earlobe to earlobe. Therefore, anything which extends beyond that, the beard which hangs beyond the parameters which I've mentioned to you, this will not be fardh, because it doesn't fall under the command فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Yes, due to other factors, due to other proofs, we say over here, takhleel, passing a wet hand through this amount, or passing wet fingers through this amount, is sunnah. And on the other hand, that part of the beard which falls within these parameters, then either you can see the skin through it or not. If you can see the skin through it, then on account of being able to see the skin through it, this falls under muwajah. It's being faced, it's visible, and for that reason you'd have to ensure that the water reaches that skin. On the other hand, if the skin cannot be seen through it, then irrespective of whether it's thick, whether the beard has volume or not, in both scenarios, all you have to wash is the outer portion of the beard, because that amount is what you are seeing, that amount is what is visible, and therefore that amount is what falls under the definition of al-wajh. And with this, we have covered our lesson, our first lesson on the Mukhtasar. Just to summarize, we covered the verse of the Quran, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, and then we explained the rule al-amru lil-wujub on account and in line with the usul of the Hanafiya. We explained that al-amru لفظ خاص. Why is it خاص? لأنه وضع لمعنى معلوم على الانفراد وهو الوجوب. That's not sufficient. Then beyond that, we took it to the second step, and we said that واستعمل في معناه الحقيقي. والمعنى الحقيقي, or what is the حقيقة? ما استعمل فيما وضع له. The word is the حقيقة, is being used in the very meaning for which it was coined, i.e. wujub. How do we know it's being used in that meaning? لعدم وجود قرينة صارفة عنه. We don't have any indication, any context which indicates that it's being used in a figurative meaning. And the default إذا دار اللفظ بين الحقيقة والمجاز أن يكون المراد الحقيقة, that it is the haqiqah that is being intended. And based on that, we said that غسل الأعضاء الثلاثة, washing deep portions of the body, as well as مسح الرأس, passing a hand over the head, or wiping over the head, is wajib. Now wajib over here, like we said, al-amru lil-wujub, al-wujub over here, if it's within a Quranic verse, you would say that this is fardh. And for that reason, all these actions are fardh. Whereas if that is being established through something which is ظني الثبوت, like a khabar wahid, over there we would say that it is wajib, it is not fard. Then beyond that we defined al-ghasl. We said that al-ghasl huwa al-isala wa haddu an yataqatar, the water should drip walau qatratan aw qatratayn. We mentioned that there is the khilaf of Abu Yusuf in this. There's one riwayah from Abu Yusuf that as long as the water flows, even if it doesn't drip, it's sufficient, it is fine. But we mentioned that the correct opinion is that of Abu Hanifa and Muhammad, that the water should drip even if it's a drop or two drops. And based on this, everyone agrees that if you were to take water and rub it over your body in a manner where it doesn't flow and it doesn't drip, wudu will not be complete, because ghasl is not found, and the command is for فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. And likewise, we mentioned that if a person just takes snow and rub it over his body in a manner where the water flows, now either it flows and it drips. Over here, everyone agrees the wudu is complete. If it simply flows but it doesn't drip, Abu Yusuf will say the wudu is complete, but Abu Hanif and Muhammad will say the wudu is not complete. And we mentioned to you that this is the correct opinion. Then after this, we went on to define al-mash, and we said that al-mashu huwa al-isaba. And by isaba over here, we don't mean to a person passing his hand, his wet hand over his hair. It's sufficient for water to reach it in any method whatsoever, because the purpose is fulfilled. And for this reason, we mentioned that if a person is outside and it's raining very heavily, and the rain he's drenched in the rain to the point that all the portions in his body, which are fard to be washed in wudu, are washed, including the face, the arms, the feet, as well as water has reached, and the water has also reached the hair. In this scenario, his wudu will be complete, even if he didn't intend it, even if he didn't use his hand to pass water over it. And the reasoning behind this is that water intrinsically cleans, and because of the fact that it intrinsically cleans, there's no need for a person to actually intend for it to work. It does its job regardless of whether you intend it or not, and it will fulfill its purpose regardless of whether you pass your hand over it, over your body or not. And then we went on to discuss the wajh, and we said that al-wajh, the way they have defined al-wajh, is min qusas al-sha'r, from the hairline ila asfal al-dhaqan, to the chin, and then from one earlobe to the other earlobe. And we mentioned that the reason they defined al-wajh as this is because هذا القدر يقع بالمواجهة. This is, generally speaking, this is what's visible. This is what a person faces when talking to another person. And based on this, we mentioned the masail of the lihya and hair that grows on the face. If it is such that you can see the skin through it, you have to ensure water reaches the skin, because at that point the skin is visible. يقع بالمواجهة. But if it's such that it covers the skin, then irrespective of whether it is thick or thin, and likewise in the beard, the mustache, the eyebrows, as long as it covers the skin, you can't see the skin through it, then in this scenario, the water, it's not necessary to have the water reach the skin. It's sufficient to wash the outer portion of the hair. And this is why Abu Hanifa says, إِنَّمَا مَوَاضِعُ الْوُضُوءِ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. Now there are a lot more tafri'at which we'll cover in our next lesson regarding what stems from al-muwajaha and the wajh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.